We need to have a serious conversation about expectations. We need to talk about how the internet sells us dreams and why specifically gaming journalism has apparently decided that only two video games have ever existed in the history of mankind. Those two games are Skyrim and Stardew Valley. If you've been on the internet this week or really any week in the last 5 years, you've seen the headline. It's always some variation of the same formula. It's Skyrim meets Stardew Valley in this new RPG, or the Dark Souls of Stardew Valley. Or imagine if Skyrim had a baby with Animal Crossing. I saw a headline this week from Gaming Bible, who, bless their hearts, they know how to farm a click, that read, Skyrim meets Stardew Valley in Steam free RPG offering. And I clicked it. Of course I clicked it. I'm a human being with a monkey brain that lights up when it sees the words Skyrim and free in the same sentence. I clicked it so you didn't have to. And today we are going to break down the game in question, which is called Runic Winds. But more importantly, we're going to break down why we keep falling for this, the marketing psychology behind it, and whether this game is actually worth your hard drive space. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's dissect the cozy RPG industrial complex. Let's start with the game itself. The game is Runic Winds. It's developed by a solo developer named GeccoBot. And right off the bat, I want to be clear. Nothing I'm about to say is a dunk on the developer. Being a solo dev is the hardest job in the world. You are the coder, the artist, the marketing department, and the janitor. GeccoBot released a free prologue/demo on Steam recently, and that is what triggered this wave of articles. Now, when I read Skyrim meets Stardew, I have a very specific mental image. I imagine a game where I am the Dragonborn, shouting people off cliffs, but then I have to go home and water my pumpkins before 6 p.m. or they wither. I imagine a high-fidelity, first-person open world where I can romance a sweet village girl by giving her 400 wheels of cheese. I downloaded Runic Winds, I booted it up, and folks, that is not what this is. Runic Winds is a top-down isometric action RPG. It has a beautiful, cel-shaded, almost low-poly aesthetic. You run around, you explore dungeons, you solve environmental puzzles, and you fight bosses using a magic system where you combine runes. If you are a gamer of culture, you are currently screaming at your screen, Cyler, that's not Skyrim, that is The Legend of Zelda. Specifically, it's Zelda. It's Tunic. It's Hyper Light Drifter. It is an interconnected world where you unlock shortcuts and learn the story through the environment rather than through 45 minutes of unskippable dialogue. So where did the Skyrim comparison come from? Well, there's a magic system. You combine runes to cast spells. Okay, Skyrim has magic. And where did the Stardew comparison come from? Well, it has winds in the title. It looks nice. It has an art style that isn't gritty realism. This brings me to my first major point of the day, the genre soup problem in modern media. We have lost the ability to describe things on their own merit. In the marketing world, and you know I love talking marketing, this is called anchoring. If I tell you I made a new game called Super Kyler RPG, you have zero frame of reference. You don't care, your brain is idle. But if I tell you I made Skyrim but with guns, your brain immediately pulls up a file. You picture the vastness of Skyrim, you add an AK-47, and boom, you're interested. That's Fallout, by the way. Just describe Fallout. The problem is we've abused these anchors so much that they've lost all meaning. Skyrim used to mean first-person massive open world immersive sim. Now, apparently, Skyrim just means a game with swords and magic. Stardew Valley used to mean farming simulator with social elements and resource management. Now Stardew Valley just means a game that uses a color palette that doesn't make me want to listen to My Chemical Romance. If Runic Winds is Skyrim meets Stardew, then Call of Duty is Duck Hunt meets The Sims, because you shoot things and there are people in it. But let's pivot back to Runic Winds for a second, because despite the bizarre headline, the game is actually doing something really interesting that I think is worth your time. The developer GeccoBot is trying to solve the hand-holding problem. Modern RPGs, and yes, I'm looking at you, standard Ubisoft open world games, treat the player like a toddler who lost their parents in a supermarket. You have a mini-map, a compass, a glowing trail on the ground, and an NPC yelling, hey, over here, every 5 seconds. Runic Winds doesn't do that. It drops you in. It says, here are some runes, figure it out. The combat is snappy, you have to actually aim, you have to dodge, and the magic system is gesture-based in a way that feels tactical. You aren't just pressing X to win. So ironically, by comparing it to Stardew Valley, the ultimate chill, turn your brain off game, the media is actually misrepresenting what looks like a fairly skill-based action game. This isn't a game where you zone out and water crops. This is a game where if you mess up your rune combos, a monster is going to eat your face. And this leads me to the marketing side of things. Why does this happen? Why did that editor write that headline? It's not because they're stupid, it's because they're smart. They know us better than we know ourselves. In SEO, that stands for search engine optimization, there are certain keywords that are essentially gold mines. Skyrim, for instance, is a gold mine. People are still searching for Skyrim mods, Skyrim secrets, and Skyrim 2, which is never coming out, by the way. Elder Scrolls 6 is a collective hallucination. Stardew Valley is also a gold mine. It has one of the most dedicated, hungry fan bases in the world. When you mash those two keywords together, you are casting the widest net possible. You are catching the hardcore RPG fans, and you are catching the cozy gamers who own 5 different colors of Nintendo Switch Lite. It is a Frankenstein marketing strategy. It's cynical, sure, but it works. I clicked it. You probably would have clicked it. And now, because of that clickbait, a solo developer's free demo is getting attention. So is it evil, or is it a necessary evil? I think about this a lot with my own channel. How do I title a video? Do I call this video my thoughts on Runic Winds gameplay mechanics? No, nobody clicks that. I have to call it the Skyrim lie or something dramatic. We are all dancing to the tune of the algorithm. We are all playing the game, but let's zoom out a bit. Let's talk about the state of the free demo. Runic Winds is a free offering on Steam right now. This is part of a trend I'm absolutely loving. We are seeing a resurgence of the shareware era of the 90s. For the younger audience members, back in the day, you didn't buy a game for $70 hoping it wasn't broken. You got a disc from a magazine, or you downloaded a file that took 3 days to finish. And you played the first 20% of the game for free. If you liked it, you eventually bought the rest. Steam, mostly through events like Next Fest, has brought this back. And Runic Winds is a perfect example. This is a solo dev who doesn't have $1 million marketing budget to run ads during the Super Bowl. Their only marketing asset is the game itself. Here, play it. If it's good, maybe you'll wishlist it. There's something so honest about that. In an era of cinematic trailers that show zero gameplay or developer deep dives that are just scripted PR talk, letting me actually play your game is the ultimate power move. If you download Runic Winds, you're not getting a polished AAA experience. You're gonna see bugs, you're gonna see assets that might look a little familiar. You're going to see the seams, but you're also seeing the raw creativity of one person. And honestly, I'll take a janky, passionate solo project over Skull and Bones any day of the week. So should you play it? If you go in expecting Skyrim meets Stardew, you're going to be disappointed. You aren't going to be building a house. You aren't going to be shouting at dragons. But if you go in expecting a Zelda-like action RPG with cool rune magic, you're going to have a great time. It's free, it's small, it respects your time. And that brings me to the life update portion of the video because everything is connected. This whole situation, the misleading headline, the expectations versus reality, it's a lot like how we navigate our own lives, isn't it? We are constantly sold these Skyrim meets Stardew versions of adulthood. We're told that if we just hustle enough, that's the Skyrim part, we'll eventually get to the cozy, peaceful farmhouse life. And that's the Stardew part. We anchor expectations on these wild comparisons. I want my career to be like Elon Musk, but my weekends to be like a hobbit. And then reality hits, and we realize our job is just a job, and our apartment is just an apartment, and we aren't the main character necessarily in an epic fantasy. We get disappointed. We feel like we were promised features that weren't in the patch notes. But just like Runic Winds, if you strip away the bad marketing and the impossible comparisons, what you have right in front of you is usually pretty decent. Maybe your life isn't Skyrim. Maybe it's just a solid top-down isometric RPG. Maybe you have to solve some puzzles. Maybe you have to fight some bosses, but it's yours. It's handcrafted and it's free to play. Okay, life isn't free to play. It's actually incredibly expensive to play. The microtransactions for food and rent are way out of control, but you get the metaphor. So to wrap this up, stop believing every gaming headline you see. If you see X meets Y, assume it is a lie until you see gameplay footage. Support solo developers. Go download Runic Winds on Steam, leave a review. Even if it just says, hey, good effort, that stuff matters. It even matters a lot when people say that about my videos. It fuels the algorithm. It helps the little guy compete against the Activision Blizzards of the world. Check your anchors. Are you judging a new game or a new experience in your life based on what it is or based on what some marketing guy told you it should be? I'm going to keep playing Runic Winds this week. I want to see how deep this rune system goes. If I find any secret Stardew Valley farming mechanics hidden in a dungeon, I will issue a public apology. But until then, I'm treating it as a Zelda-like and I'm having a blast. Let me know in the comments below. What is the most egregious, ridiculous game comparison you've ever seen? Is it the Dark Souls of Crash Bandicoot? Is it Halo meets Candy Crush? I want to hear the worst ones. And if you're new here, Hit the subscribe button. We cover the news. We make fun of the news very often. And occasionally we learn something about ourselves along the way. I'm Kyler Ray. Keep your expectations managed and your frame rates high. I'll see you in the next one.